Hello friends, welcome to CareersTalk. My name is Ranj Sharma, a senior consultant based in Netherlands, and I am super excited to welcome you to this Business Analyst Live Simulation series where we combine theory with live demos to give you hands-on experience. If this is your first time on our channel, don't forget to subscribe and check out our other session in the playlist. The link is into the description. And today we will discuss 3 critical documents step by step. So Soumya will going to explain the BRD, which is business requirement document, in the first 10 minutes. Then we have Mosam, who is going to cover the FRD, which is functional requirement document, in the next 11 minutes. And then we will have Bismoy, who is going to conclude the session with the SRS, which is software requirement specification, in about 20 minutes. Friends, it's a myth that BRD, FRD, and SRS are no longer needed in Agile project. In reality, they are. These documents remain critical because they serve as an essential important reference points for alignment clarity. And these documents will help maintain traceability, avoid scope creep, and support onboarding and regulatory compliance. So with this thought in mind, let us now proceed one by one. Soumya, Mosam, and Bismoy is going to present the BRD, FRD, and SRS. So over to you, Soumya.
Hello everyone, I'm Soumya. I'm the business analyst for T Consultancy Services. In this session, I'm going to explain what a business requirement document is, in short, BRD. Let me share my screen. Business requirement document is the starting point of any project and contains high-level business requirements. After gathering the objectives or requirements from business stakeholders, a formal report is prepared in the form of a BRD. It provides clarity, retained focus, and removes ambiguity about project needs. That is why normally it should be prepared in the initiation phase of the project. It is prepared by upper and mid-level managers. Depending on the organization and situation, sometimes it is prepared by a customer or a BA. It is required to establish what the customer expectations are. This reduces the risk of project failure due to misaligned requirements. So here the project name is Lazada. Lazada would be the customer for TCS, which is in requirement of developing their website. The website has apparels placed. So it is an online shopping portal. Here are the versions and approvals for this document. So 1.1, this is the first version I developed on November 2nd. If there are any further changes, we can do a version change and put a date and put the name of who developed it, and mainly note down what's the reason for change. So all the changes should be documented and the reason for the change and who did the changes, everything should be documented in the BRD. So this is the list of contents and the page numbers along with it for easy navigation. Executive summary. So this is the BRD established between TCS and Lazada. As I told you, Lazada is a website for online apparels. The purpose of this agreement is to outline TCS' role in creating a seamless, scalable online marketplace for Lazada. This agreement covers the scope, deliverables, objectives, timelines, and budget for the project, ensuring both parties align on goals, standards, and responsibilities. So if there are any further changes, it should be approved by both TCS and Lazada, and it will be properly noted down in the BRD document with a version change. So these are the project details, name. As they have website already placed and they need some improvements in the website, this is an enhancement project. We started this in October, and this is like estimated completion date. And these are the project sponsor names, project manager names you can put in here for easy reference. Now comes the project overview. So here the primary goals are listed. So these are the primary business requirements listed. So developing a comprehensive trusted marketplace for buyers and sellers is the primary objective. And Lazada wants to focus on security and scalability of the platform. So under the scalability, so it aims to attract around 10,000 active users and 1,000 vendors, that too within next 6 months of the launch. So Lazada wants TCS to enhance the platform performance also. So they might have a high transaction volumes if they get 10,000 active users and 1,000 vendors. So they want to get prepared their platform to be ready for that high volumes of active users. Everything should be done under regulatory compliance with GDPR, and also data protection standards should also be followed. So after the business requirements, we need to list all the stakeholders. Primary stakeholders would be TCS, Lazada, end users. End users means like who are going to buy from the website. Sellers who are going to put their merchandise in the online website. The logistics teams like who is going to deliver the goods to the end users. So developers, QA team, design architects, project managers would be very important stakeholders for this project. So scope of the project is also very important. Scope, it covers what is in agreement between Lazada and TCS, what they're going to develop in future, and what they are not going to develop. So in scope here is developing or enhancing the website, integration with payment gateways, user account management, catalog management, checkout process, order processing and tracking, and integration with third-party systems. Out of scope is what TCS is not going to do for Lazada. So it is not going to involve in any marketing campaign execution, backend integration for non-commerce related features, and physical infrastructure setup. This is what Lazada is not in contract with TCS. So before starting developing of the project, so we're going to make some assumptions for the smooth flow. So as there is a website already in place, it is assumed that while doing the enhancements, the website will still be available 24/7 except the scheduled maintenance window. Next assumption would be like the existing users will not be affected with any of the enhancement things going on. So the third-party services integrated into the app will continue to function smoothly and with minimal downtime. These are the assumptions made before before starting the actual development of the project. This is the risk management. So we're going to assess what kind of risks we are going to face while doing this project. What is their likelihood of occurrence, and how it is going to impact the project. We are going to list the mitigation strategies also for these risks. So technical complexities, as we are anticipating this is highly technically complex project because there are so many interfacing integrations to be made. There is like medium likelihood of this occurrence, but the impact would be very high. The mitigation strategy for this would be like, engaging experts for complex features like payment and security, where the features would be very complex to develop. We might face budget overruns. It is highly likely to happen, but the impact would be medium. So we're going to mitigate this with constantly monitoring the costs and regular reviews with the financial team. So we're expecting some delays with vendor integration. It can happen with medium likelihood, but the intensity would be very high. So to mitigate this risk, we are going to secure alternate vendors. If one vendor is not responding properly, we are going to get another vendor for payment and logistics on time. So we are anticipating some security risks. It is highly likely that it might happen, and the impact would also be very high. So to mitigate this risk, we're going to conduct frequency security audits and data protection checks. Lower user adoption. That means in case if the website didn't reach the end users properly as expected, the impact would be medium though. So to mitigate this risk, we're going to establish high marketing and launch incentives. Next comes the business requirements. These are high-level requirements which are in contract with TCS and Lazada. User registration and authentication, product listing and search functionality, shopping cart, checkout process, payment integration are some of them. All the high-level business requirements are listed here. So next comes a prioritization of requirements. How we did this prioritization? So we followed this planning POCO method to prioritize the requirements. So after doing this, we listed them as critical, high, medium, and low. So order management, we got as a very critical requirement. So under the order management, the features would be adding to cart, cart management, and place order. So next comes payment integration, following by user management. We got performance and security management as a low priority requirement. So after developing all the critical, high, and medium requirements, we're going to take performance and security management. This is the high-level process flow diagram with respect to customer and vendor. This is a flow chart showing what the customer does in the website and vendor does in the website. What are the features available he can do, and what are the features available vendor can do. So for both customer and vendors, there is a login. New users can also register. So after logging in, a customer does the product search. He views whatever projects he wants to view. If he's good, he adds the product to the cart. If he wants to buy, he goes to payment. There are few options provided for this payment. It can be via debit, credit, or cash on delivery. If he doesn't want to pay, he can again go back to cart. If he's all good with the payment, the order will be placed. Now, with respect to vendor, he logs in and he searches for the category, product category, and he puts his category, product in the category. Add some description. He can add any video, pictures, or some text under the product description. He can also do manage orders received. He can see whether payment, how the payment is made, whether it is done or not. He can also check customer feedback, which is very important. Any issues with the products, positive reviews, negative reviews. And he can also develop a detailed report relating all of these things. So this is the document, and if it is approved by both the parties, TCS and Lazada. This goes for approval and gets signed off by both the parties. I hope this brief explanation of the BRD gave some insight about this. Thank you.
Hey everyone, welcome to CareersTalk. My name is 𝐁𝐿𝐿 and today we will talk on how to create a function specification document. So as you all know that this document acts as a bridge between business requirement and technical implementation. So by the end of this video, you will have a very clear understanding of what goes into a functional specification document and how to structure it effectively. So without wasting any time, let's start. So the first thing which you can see here is document revisions. Here you have to mention like what are the versions which have been made earlier and what are the enhancement which you are doing here, what are the changes in the documents are there and how many versions are already there. And the next is approvals. Here you can see like we have different roles: project sponsor, business owner, project manager, system architect. And according to the roles, we have to take approvals for this document. Now we have the table of contents. Whatever the things which we have mentioned in the document, everything is here in the table of contents. Now we'll go one by one. So the first section we have is introduction. Here we have to mention the project summary, which includes objectives, background, business drivers. So what we have to mention in objectives, in project summary. In project summary, we have to start by giving a brief overview of the project, where you can answer key questions like what is the project about, why it is being initiated, who are the stakeholders, and many more questions like that, which shows what are the project summary, why we are taking this project. And the next is objectives. Here we will describe the goals of the project very clearly. And to make it more efficient, we use a method called SMART, which is that objectives should be very much specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. As like for this project, you can see we are working on existing e-commerce website for fashion apparel. So we have our main objective is to improve the user experience with by the next quarter. So I have mentioned like that. Now we'll go to the background. Here we have to provide the context for the project by answering few questions like what led to this project, are there any existing systems solutions in the place, and what are the gaps or challenges what we are facing with this project, why we need this. And then we have business drivers. These are the business drivers are the factors which is driving the need for the project, such as market trends, competitive measures, and any regulatory requirements. So here you can see I have added for competitive advantage, customer satisfaction, increased sales, operational efficiency. Like that, you can also mention the business drivers that who is driving this project, what are the benefits, how we are going to deal with this, is there any competition of the same e-commerce website or your website, like that. Now we have project scope. So project scope, we are dividing into two subsections. One is in scope and other is out scope. In scope, you have to clearly list what is included in the project. Like example, for here we can include user account creation, product listing, and other basic analytics. And the same out of scope functionality, you have to mention like here we are not considering sign up using Facebook or sign up using Instagram, that we will take it but on a future, not right now. So currently, as for the now, so it is out of scope functionality, we are not taking it right now. So this will come in out of scope. Now we will go to the use case diagram. Why we are using use case diagram? Use case diagram is used to visualize the system functional and non-functional aspects through a diagrammatic representation. Mostly why we use use case is that it shows how a user or user of the project, the website, how they're going to interact with the system. Here you can see we have user, admin, and customers. So here I am just explaining it in brief, because we will be having a separate session on use case diagram where we will be explaining on the use case diagram how we are going to create it, what should we include, who are the users, who are the actors, primary actors, secondary actors, everything in detail. So as for now, we'll just keep this brief and we'll go further. So here you can see that I have mentioned lots of use cases which you can refer for your documentation. These are for the functionals, and now we'll go to the non-functional requirements. These requirements are the technical or operational requirements which are not specific to any function, but these are also needed for the smooth work of the website. And here you can see, like I have mentioned, security requirements, performance requirements, usability. So as per your project, you can mention whatever the non-functional requirements which you will get in requirement gathering from your internal and external stakeholders that you have to mention here. Now we have the fourth section, which is business process overview. Here you have to show how is the business process right now, which we are mentioning it in the as is process, and how you want your desired future process to be. Like we have to outline here. You can also use some diagrammatic representation of the as is and to be process. For here I have mentioned that how our current website is functioning and how we want it to be function. So here you can see the basic functionality, how it is functioning right now, which is mentioned in as is, and the other to be, what we are expecting to our website to work as in future. So I mentioned this. Now we have the fifth section, which is system perspective, where we have mentioned assumptions, constraints. In assumptions, like we have to mention that what a project relies on, which should include that we consider the positive cases like users have stable internet connections, users are familiar with the basic online shopping. These are the assumptions which we consider before creating this website, that for login or for entering into the website, they should have this basic knowledge about online shopping, how we do that. So these are the assumptions. And the next section is constraints. Here we have to specify the limitations which can affect the project, such as you can see budget limitations, existing database structure may require the modifications. Like the constraints, your project may have different constraints and the other project may have different. So you have to gather those requirements with you have to talk with your internal team and the external team. So what are the constraints which can can be the bottleneck for this project delivery? So you have to mention those. Now here comes the data dictionary. So while writing our documentation, so we use some of the data elements like user ID, password. So what are the business rules required for that, error message? So these all you have to mention it here. Now we have the section for mockups. So mockups, it is a visual representation of the system, and it helps the stakeholders to visualize the end product in a very good way, because the visuals which we provide to the stakeholders, they might be not very technically sound, but when they look at the visuals, they get a very clear idea of how the project is going to be, how is their website going to be. So here I have uploaded the mockups for one screen, which is checkout and payment screen. So similarly, you can provide mockups or wireframes, which you can create through BPMN tools, which we will be discussing in another session. And you can create mockups and wireframes for all the screens, which will give the stakeholders a very clear idea of how the screens, how the project is going to be, how their website will look. Now we have glossary of terms. Like when we write our functional specification document or any of the document, we do use some of the jargons in the document which the stakeholders might not be very much aware of, or any technical terms, abbreviations. So here we will mention all those, and we will show that what are the things which we have mentioned, and they can refer and they can understand what those words are, what the jargons are. They are not quite unfamiliar to that. And the last section, it is related documents, or you can say reference documents. We might have some of the reference documents which is an other reference to other documents, which we have not mentioned here because this Word document can be very long, so that you can put it here, provide the links to those related documents. So this is all about FSD right now. And this is a for a well-structured functional specification document. You can refer this this document for your own projects by following the steps outlined in this video. You can create a document that minimizes ambiguity and sets your project up for success. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe CareersTalk for more content like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunan, for providing me the opportunity to present SRS document. Good day, everyone. My name is Bismay Das, and currently I'm working as a senior business analyst in one of the big four. In this video, we are going to explore SRS document. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So what is SRS, or Software Requirement Specification Document? Well, the main purpose of creating an SRS document in a design phase is to combine both functional and non-functional requirement for a software system. Also, it serves as a comprehensive technical blueprint for the development team. So what are the main contents of a SRS documents? The main contents of any SRS document will have functional requirement. It is similar to the FRD document that we create. Also, the non-functional requirements like performance, scalability, security, etc. Furthermore, we need to mention the system architecture and design constraint. Also, any external interface requirements like API hardware needs to be mentioned out. And there will be a section for technical details regarding the technical detail for any implementation. So these are the main contents of any SRS document. So with that, let us try to understand SRS with a sample project named Lazada, which is an e-commerce website. So this is the SRS document that has been created. So as you can see, the SRS document start with like who has created this document. My name is mentioned, what is the version number is mentioned, and also the project name is mentioned as Lazada. So scrolling down, we'll see a table of content. So table of content will be having all the main contents that will be there in the document. So this will give a brief about what are the table of content, and we can navigate from here to the contents. Followed by revision history. So SRS document might go for multiple revision history, starting with who has created this document. Normally a business analyst or a architect might create a SRS document, and it needs to go for multiple review before it get accepted and approved. Furthermore, if you come down, we'll have something called introduction. So in introduction, we'll mention what is the purpose of creating a SRS document. So the purpose which is mentioned here is this document aims to define the functional and non-functional, also the technical specification of Lazada, a robust and scalable e-commerce platform. It serves as a blueprint for developer, designer, and stakeholder to build and maintain a platform that connects buyer and seller while ensuring a seamless online shopping experience. So that is the main purpose of creating this document, which has been clearly been mentioned here. Followed by the purpose section, we have something called project scope. So here we need to mention the in scope and out of scope. So when it comes to in scope, we can mention like development e-commerce website or mobile application, integration with different payment gateways, user account management like login, registration, profile management, product catalog management, shopping cart and checkout process, order processing and tracking, and so on. And out of scope are the things that is not part of this project. It might come in the future release, but not currently in scope. So some of the out of scope points mentioned here are marketing campaign execution, backend integration of non-commerce related feature, example HR, finance system, physical setups like warehousing and logistics. So these are not part of this software development for larger application. And followed by project scope, we have a section called references. Here we mention any references we have taken from different like documents or different any kind of website we have taken any reference. We have to mention those things in the references section. Now scrolling down, the next main part of any SRS document is the overall description. So here we mention something called product perspective. So the main project aims to develop an advanced e-commerce platform that provides a seamless and secure user-centric shopping experience. Our goal is to create a platform comparable to Amazon with user-friendly feature, a scalable infrastructure, and robust support for buyers and seller alike. So this is the main high-level product perspective that any developer or any tester, if he reads it, will be able to understand why the project came into the first place. Followed by product features. So here we'll mention the main product features like customer portal, vendor portal, admin panel, payment gateway, and notification. So these are the main feature, and also we have given the bifurcation of those feature. Like for customer portals, we might have search, browse, add to cart, checkout. Similarly for vendor portal, we'll have add products, manage inventory, view orders, and admin panel will have manage user products and monitor platform activities. And payment gateway will have support multiple payment method like credit, debit, e-wallet, etc. And notification will have real-time update via email, SMS, app, push notification. So these are the main product and sub-product features that has been mentioned here. Followed by the product features, we'll have something called user characteristics. So what are the main users? Like one of the main user will be customers. So non-technical user purchasing products, vendors, semi-technical user managing product listing. So all the product listing will be coming from the vendor side, and administrators, technical users overseeing platform operations. The next part of SRS document is design and implementation constraint. So some of the design and implementation constraint mentioned are user interface design. The platform UI must be designed to be intuitive for non-technical user as well as semi-technical users. The design must adhere to WCAG 2.1. So that is a web content accessibility guidelines to ensure accessibility for all users, including those with disabilities. And the next design constraint is code-based maintainability. The system must be modular and scalable with clearly separated concern, example, front-end, back-end, data layer. We should follow industry best practices such as solid principle and unit testing to ensure long-term maintainability. So these are some of the few design constraints that has been chatted out. So followed by this section, we have 2.5, that is assumption and dependency. So the first assumptions that we have is availability of resource. It is assumed that the development team will have access to the necessary expertise in .NET development, cloud-based infrastructure like Azure, payment gateway infrastructure, mobile application development. The project stakeholder. The project manager, business analyst, and vendor will be available to provide requirement and feedback throughout the project lifecycle. So this is one of the dependency that we have, that all the stakeholder needs to be present at all the time during the design and development of the application. And the next is infrastructure and hosting. So currently, as per our discussion, the system is assumed to be hosted on Microsoft Azure, and it's a cloud-based platform. And the cloud infrastructure, Azure App Service it will use, also Azure SQL database and Azure Blob storage will be available and provisioned on time. Also, it is assumed the Microsoft SQL Server, other third-party services such as Azure Active Directory, Redis, Cosmos DB, etc., will be available and properly configured for the platform. So these are some of the key infrastructure and hosting requirements that has been mentioned out in the SRS document. And the next part, as I mentioned earlier, like the SRS document needs to also have like functional requirement and non-functional requirement mentioned. So some of the functional requirements which are mentioned here are the e-commerce platform will encompass the following primary functionality: user registration, authentication. So all the it's allow user to sign up as a buyer or seller with the option of social media, two-factor authentication added with added security. Product listing and search functionality. So any e-commerce website, the product listing and search functionality plays an important part. So this will be also a important functional requirement. Shopping cart and checkout process. So we need to implement an intuitive shopping cart, allowing user to add, remove item, view, order summaries, and proceed through a secure checkout process. The next is payment integration. So it should support multiple payment methods like credit card, PayPal, Apple Pay, using a secure payment gateway. The next is user tracking and delivery management. Track order status with placement through delivery with notification and each stage. So these are few of the functional requirements that has been mentioned for this Lazada application. Now scrolling to the next section, what we have is the non-functional requirement. So basically any product that we are building needs to have the non-functional requirement plays a pivotal role, and that needs to be added along with the functional requirement to make a comprehensive software system. So some of the non-functional requirement that has been mentioned for the Lazada solution is scalability. The platform should be able to handle high volume of traffic, transaction at business growth. Security. So it should support SSL certificate for secure browsing, compliance with PCI DSS for secure payment processing, secure user data storage, and privacy management. Performance. So fast page load time, even the last product catalog, high traffic volume. So performance plays a key area in an e-commerce website. Usability. The platform should be easy to navigate. Customers should be able to find the product and complete purchase with minimal friction. Accessibility, compliant with WCAG standard for accessibility. So these are the few of the non-functional requirements that has been mentioned in the SRS document. So going further down, we have something called system requirement. So system requirement has been categorized into technical architecture layer, application layer, service layer, and database layer, followed by cloud infrastructure layer. So we'll go one by one, starting with the user interface layer. So how the user interface will look like. So basically the what are the tools and technology that are being used to build the user interface for the Lazada application. So the web application will be built on React.js. Mobile application will be using native app for Android and iOS. Admin portal, web portal for managing user, product, and orders. So this will be used for the admin portal. The application layer. So it will be having different services which will be integrated using the API also. So some of the application layer will be user management service. So handle user registration, authentication, profiles, product catalog service, manage a product listing, categories, search features, order management service, like it handles cart, checkout process, and order processing, payment gateway. So payment gateway mostly used to integrate with third-party payment provider for secure transaction. And notification system. So we'll like enable the application to send email, SMS, app notification for order updates. So this will be a feature that will be added to the application. The next is service layer. So the purpose of this layer to provide various service and API for the application. So the component, so RESTful API. So we'll be using the RESTful API. It provides communication between front end and back end, and also microservices will be used. It implements specific functionality, like for user management, order processing, we'll be using something called microservices. And database layers. So database layer, as I mentioned, will be having multiple databases connected, because each of the component will require a database of its own. So some of the database that's being used is MySQL, PostgreSQL. So multiple database used for different applications like user account, transaction, etc. And for search engine, we'll use Elasticsearch for fast and accurate product search result. And now coming to the cloud infrastructure layer, as I mentioned earlier, the system is assumed to be hosted on Microsoft Azure, so which will be the primary cloud service provider, and will be ensuring that all the infrastructure, all the cloud infrastructure is available and provisioned on time. So this all the details is followed by technical architecture diagram. So as you can see in this technical architecture diagram, it clearly mentioned like how the user journey will flow through from user. It goes to load balancer, then it goes to different offers, what we have, product listing, followed by any we'll be using product cache also to like speed up the product listing page and any product detail. So it first goes to the primary database, and then it hits the secondary database if we don't have the information. And finally, there will be a checkout process that will be there, that will be help us the application to, and using the checkout we'll be using something called event queue and communication sender. So that will be part of the checkout, and details will go back to the user in the form of API. So this is in a high level the technical architecture diagram that will be used for the Lazada application. So followed by this technical architecture diagram, we have API integration section, where we mention what are the API being used and what are the scope and in scope of the API. So basically, API integration is a critical aspect of Lazada e-commerce platform. It enables seamless communication between the platform and various external systems, services, and applications. This section outlines the key consideration, requirement, and design principle for integrating API with Lazada platform. So when it comes to API, the main scope are like authentication, authorization, data formatting and standard, error handling and logging, and also any security consideration. Followed by API integration requirements. So these are some of the API integration requirement that has been mentioned out, like authentication, authorization, or what are the data format standard, error handling, logging, security consideration. So all this, basically all this API integration requirement has been mentioned. Next is the API flow. So this is a high level API flow that has been provided. So from the browser, we'll be sending the request to the API engine, and it will be setting some rule for interacting, and it will hit our server, and from server we'll go to our database server, and from database again the response will coming to the server and will handle the data transfer. And finally, the user will be getting a response, API response, and it will be converted into a HTML document, which will be shown to the end user. So this is the API flow that has been, which is thought of to be, which is required to be built for the Lazada application. So moving ahead. So finally, we'll have a glossary section where we mention all the important terms and terminologies which are being used in the SRS document. So for example, API. So API is nothing but application programming interface. It's a set of tools and protocol enabling software application to communicate with each other. And similarly, I will read a few of the glossary, like one is functional requirement. A system must perform specific behavior, task, function to meet user needs. Then what is interface? Like it's mentioned the point of interaction between two system, component, user, including graphical user GUI and API. Microservices is nothing but a software architecture style in structure and and an application as a collection of loosely coupled independently deployable services. And finally, the non-functional requirement is nothing but a characteristic of a system that do not relate to specific behavior, but due to quality such as performance, usability, reliability, and security. So basically, this all constituted of a non-functional requirement. So in a nutshell, this is about the SRS document, which is nothing but a software requirement specification document, which primarily built by the business analyst during the design phase, along with the BRD functional requirement document, that is FRD, and SRS document. So this will these three important document comprise of the design part of any business analyst that needs to be performed during the software lifecycle. So with that, thank you for listening to this presentation, and thank you, Sunan, for providing this opportunity. Back to you, Sunan.